The screaming started before sunrise. It wasn't the kind of scream that fades. It clung to the walls. It echoed down the hall like it didn't want to leave. Inside the Glatzel family home in Brookfield, Connecticut, 11-year-old David Glatzel thrashed on the floor, his body convulsing, mouth open wide in a soundless wail before the air finally tore free from his lungs. His mother lunged to hold him. His father stood frozen. And standing off to the side, watching in silent horror, was Arne Cheyenne Johnson, the boyfriend of David's older sister. Something was wrong with David, something that hadn't been there before, and whatever it was spreading. It had all started with the rental, a house the Glatzels had just begun to move into that summer of 1980. The place was older, isolated, and overgrown. David had gone ahead to help clean the rooms, his little hands dragging dust from windowsills and picking weeds out of the cracked walkway. He was a quiet kid, sensitive, but that day he came home pale, trembling, and terrified. "There's a man in there," he told his mother. "An old man with big black eyes and a burnt face. He told me he would hurt us." They brushed it off, a kid being dramatic, but David insisted, over and over again. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the man. Every time he walked by a mirror, he thought he saw him behind him. He didn't want to go back. Then the nightmares began, terrifying, vivid. He said the man came to him in his sleep, whispering curses, telling him he would steal his soul. Soon, it wasn't just nightmares. David started talking in strange voices, speaking Latin, guttural, growling phrases that made no sense. He began thrashing at night, clawing at the air, at himself. He'd say he felt hands on his neck, choking him. Bruises appeared on his body. The family called a priest, then another, then the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine Warren were used to this kind of call. Demonologists, paranormal investigators, famous by then for the Amityville case and dozens more. Lorraine said she felt the presence in the house the moment she walked in. "This boy is not alone," she whispered. For days, the Warrens stayed close to the Glatzels. They brought holy water, rosaries, crucifixes. They recorded everything. David's outbursts grew more violent. He hissed, cursed, thrashed. He spoke in voices that didn't sound human. His eyes would roll back in his head and stay there. At one point, he reportedly levitated several inches off the bed. Lorraine said she counted 43 separate demons inhabiting the boy. The Catholic Church authorized a series of lesser exorcism rites, not the full ritual. Those were rare, required months of documentation. But the Warrens pressed them. "This is getting worse," Ed said. "We are running out of time." And that's when Arne did something he'd never forget. He was watching one of David's episodes, sweat pouring from the boy's face, his body arching unnaturally. The room felt heavy, suffocating. And Arne, furious, terrified, desperate, shouted at the entity, "Take me instead! Leave the kid alone!" Ed turned on him. "Never do that," he warned. "Never offer yourself." But it was too late. After that night, David started to improve. The attacks slowed. His nightmares became less frequent. It was like something had let go. But Arne changed. He stopped sleeping. He'd get angry for no reason. Debbie, his girlfriend, said he was different, moody, withdrawn, prone to staring off like he was watching something no one else could see. He claimed something was following him, whispering to him. He said he felt like something had gotten inside him. The Warrens warned the family, possession can move, especially if it's invited. By the fall of 1980, Arne and Debbie moved into an apartment above the Brookfield Pet Motel, where she worked. The owner, Alan Bono, gave them the space. He was loud, brash, sometimes abrasive, but generally harmless. He drank too much and liked to argue, but there was nothing unusual, at first. Arne tried to get back to normal life. He worked as a tree surgeon. He joked around with Debbie's siblings. But he kept losing time, hours at a stretch. He'd wake up in strange places, not remember how he got there. He saw a beast in the woods, he told Debbie. Something watching him. Waiting. He wasn't himself. And then came February 16th, 1981. That morning, Arne called in sick. Debbie, her 9-year-old cousin Mary, and Arne all met Alan Bono for lunch at a local bar and grill. Bono drank heavily, slurring by mid-afternoon. When they returned to the apartment, Bono started acting aggressively, especially toward Mary. Debbie tried to calm things down. She led Mary outside. Arne followed. Then something snapped. Witnesses said Arne stood still for a long time, then turned around, his face blank. He pulled a pocket knife from his pocket and walked calmly back toward Bono. He stabbed him. Repeatedly. Deep wounds to the chest and stomach. Bono tried to fight back, but was overwhelmed. He collapsed, bleeding out within minutes. And just like that, Arne walked away, into the woods. He was arrested hours later, still in a daze. He had no memory of the attack, no explanation, just a hollow, tired look in his eyes. When the case went to trial, Arne's lawyer made a stunning announcement. They would plead not guilty by reason of demonic possession. It was the first time in American legal history that such a defense had been formally introduced. The press went wild. Headlines screamed demon murder trial and devil made him do it. Reporters flooded the sleepy town. Everyone wanted a quote from the Warrens. But the judge refused to allow it. There was no place for the supernatural in a courtroom, he ruled. The jury would hear no evidence of possession, no testimony from the Warrens, no recordings, no priests. So the defense pivoted. They claimed Arne had been under extreme duress, that he had suffered a psychotic break triggered by the trauma of David's possession, that he wasn't legally responsible. But without the full story, the jury was left to decide on what they had. A man who'd gotten angry and killed someone. They found him guilty of first-degree manslaughter. He was sentenced to 10 to 20 years. He served just over 5. Debbie married him while he was still in prison. David, now a grown man, rarely speaks about what happened. He struggles with it. The family keeps to themselves. But Lorraine Warren, until her death, stood by the case. It was real, she insisted. It was one of the most terrifying things we ever encountered. Some say it was a media stunt. Others say the Warrens exploited a troubled family. But the ones who were there, the ones who heard the growls in the dark, who saw the child lifted off the bed, who watched Arne change day by day, they tell a different story. In 2021, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It brought the tale to the big screen. But the movie left out what mattered most. This wasn't fiction. This was a family under siege, a child tormented, a man who believed with every inch of his soul that something had followed him home and that it had made him kill. We may never know what really happened inside the Glatzel home that summer, or what Arne saw in the woods, or what whispered to him in the silence. But one thing is certain: if evil does exist, sometimes it doesn't wait to be invited. Thank you for listening to The Lantern's Tale. Subscribe for more true stories, if you dare.